Hello guys, gals and non-binary pals, I'm Dips and welcome back to the web, where today we're starting our new journey to design a new hero for Total War Warhammer 3. With your guys' suggestions and over a couple of videos, we're going to be crafting a brand new skink or Croxical hero for the Lizardmen. Today we're just focusing on the concept design. Basically we're going to be covering some ideas I had, and then combined with your suggestions in the comments, we'll pick out the best ideas into one cohesive package, which we'll plan to carry into future videos. To get it started, I've gathered 5 rough concepts, 2 for the skinks and 3 for the Croxicals, and then I'll turn it back to you guys in the comments for your different ideas. Finally, all art here is fully referenced, and the source and socials of its creators are linked in the description, so please feel free to show them all some love. There's some beautiful pieces there. So let's start with the Croxical concept. The first idea I immediately thought of was the Skink Dad Croxical. Basically, this would be a Croxical hero that would focus on buffing and protecting skink units. They'll be perfect for cheap early game armies and would serve as a bit of a generic chaff clearer and fear piece, adding a bit of mass to skink front lines. They would likely use that framework from the Synergy mod I made a while back that would include buffs and effects that only affect skink units, and I think it's a vague enough of an idea we could definitely incorporate some extra ideas or identities into there. This guy is probably the most loosely defined in terms of looks, but I'd really love to have some sort of skink riding on their back into battle, similar to the big dinosaurs, as I just think that's a really fun, unique thing we haven't seen yet. The similar skink alternative I thought of was the Skink Battle Leader. I'd aim to make this guy a subset of the Skink Chief, since we only get so many unique hero types, but instead of focusing on ranged poison darts, they're more of a melee buffing hero, leading from the front. Again, this would be a much more early game, cheap hero that focuses on buffing skinks, and I think there are really fun ideas for skink specific effects. Maybe a temporarily stalk ability that would allow you to sneak behind the enemy front line, or granting charge defense for a skink force to protect them from a crushing cavalry charge. I really like the idea of the cudgel and shield animations and weapons. Maybe some sort of limited throwing weapon to give them a bit of a teeth, maybe an explosive one. But ultimately, I think mods for skinks are best when they allow for dynamic and unusual tactics, and I think these ideas really fit the bill perfectly. In terms of looks, still a little bit vague, lots of colourful feathers, some more intricate and threatening weapons, and probably very little armour would keep them close enough to the Skink Chief, but also make them a bit more iconic on their own. The third idea, and one that I think meshes very well with the 2 previous Croxical ideas, is the Construction Croxical hero. This guy would be a hero playing into the role of the lore of the Croxicals as heavy lifters and labourers, and their skill tree would do stuff like decrease construction time and corruption and increase public order, making them more useful for their campaign utility than they are on the battlefield. Far from useless though, they would serve that same traditional role of a chaff clearer and a fear piece as the Croxical Lord, but be a bit weaker in terms of actual stats to reflect that non-combat focus. For looks, I think there's a lot of personality possibilities to their weapon choice and less visible armor to differentiate them from the Croxical Lord, but I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments on some more iconic looks for them. Before we get into our next skink idea, as I said before, this is likely to be a process over a couple videos, with the next one probably being the model creation and animations. So if this is something you guys would like to stick around for, subscribing is the best way to see the next video. The other skink option I thought of was a sort of general all-rounder magic hero for the early game called the Skink Seer. This guy wouldn't be stuck to one lore of magic, but instead would be a mix of low to mid-level spells, mainly from the lore of life, beasts, and even the lore of the wilds, since you don't really see that outside the Beastmen. With access to this basic utility, light damage, and healing, this guy would aim to provide general magical support in the early game until you get more substantial casters in the mid to late game like the Slann or the Skink Priests. For example, I just find it really annoying the only healing casters of the Oracle or the Life Slann who are absent entirely in the early game, especially the Oracle who's like a tier 5 hero, from a tier 5 building. In terms of looks, since they're more of a wild magic caster harnessing the powers of Lustria, I was thinking a bit more of a shaman vibe with more bones, less gold and more feathers. Just to avoid them looking too similar to the Skink Priest, we could also do a bit of a colour change, or have them with, animal companions similar to how the Dreadsaurian mod worked. Back to it with the Croxicals, and more focused on the large monstrous side of stuff, we could have the Feral or Primal Croxical. This would be the dueling option for the hero. While a bit more fragile than the Croxical Lord, they'll be more speedy and a more deadly high mass duelist, bringing that idea of ferocity to the otherwise, lumbering Croxical units. A really high charge bonus I think would be a must, and they'll be a perfect fit for the Croxical Dreadsaurian Companion mod I made for a video a while back. Their skill tree could also include all kinds of passive buffs, like Frenzy for themselves and other certain units, the reduction of upkeep for large creatures, and including some abilities to increase their dueling potential. Looks wise is where this could get pretty interesting, as I would love to use the Sacred Croxical animations since they have a mix of quadrupedal and bipedal, which communicates that feral kind of nature quite well. And also you could have a very cool and unique weapon here, maybe some sort of arm or wrist blade made of bones with the rest of the body adorned in feathers with maybe a little bit of gold like Nakai has. So remember, these aren't the only options and it's just to kind of get people's credit juices flowing, and none of them are mutually exclusive. Aspects of the builder and the skink dad work quite well together, and so do the two skinks to a certain extent. However, now comes your guys' job, the feedback. I want to hear what you liked, what you didn't like, other character concepts, lore, themes, abilities, skills, anything you guys think might be good, I kind of want to hear. After the fact, I'm going to go through and try and find the best ideas and fit them into a nice cohesive package that makes thematic sense, and we're going to go from there in the next video, which like I said is likely to be models and animations. Importantly, I'm not going to make a new video for every nitty-gritty minor design decision, so most of that's going to be done through community posts. Therefore, if you want to follow this, step 1 is subscribing, but also popping the notifications increases the chance you'll see the community posts. That covers pretty much everything. I'm looking forward to reading everyone's ideas. Thank you everybody for watching, and tips out.